I'm Mary Trump. You might know my uncle is the authoritarian, convicted criminal conman currently wrecking the country from the safety of the Oval Office, but for the vast majority of my life, I've just known him as a fucking loser. So,
imagine having the guts to go on record and say that about a member of your own family, let alone one of the most powerful figures in the world.
He's a narcissistic sociopath. He's a psychopath. He's a malignant narcissist.
I mean, he's so blatantly stupid.
he's utterly incapable of leading this country, and it's dangerous to allow him to do so.
Makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has.
If you're in the Oval Office today, what would you say to him?
Resign.
So what's the story here? Is this just a family squabble that went nuclear, or is it something much deeper? Today we're diving into the explosive claims of Mary Trump. She's not just an estranged relative. She's a clinical psychologist who claims to have the inside track on what makes her uncle tick.
Like a Venn diagram, right? Remember those from school? All of those circles kind of coincide. Narcissist, sociopath, they coincide. Donald Trump's in the middle of all of them. Okay.
Mary argues that to understand Donald, you have to go way back. You have to understand his father, Fred Trump Sr. She claims her uncle learned his win-at-all-costs playbook from a sociopathic father in a home where he felt unsafe and unloved.
You say he's a sociopath.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
He had no empathy. He was incredibly driven, that turned other people, including his children, his wife, into pawns to be used to his own ends. Donald has always been protected and continues to be protected from his inadequacies, from his incompetence, from his lack of knowledge, from his failures. He's always had support of more powerful people. He's always had people protecting him from his mistakes or from people who would try to hold him account.
Mary isn't the first person to get under his skin by revealing his business record. Rosie O'Donnell brought up the very same facts about his bankruptcies and not being a self-made billionaire. And as always, he couldn't challenge the facts, so he famously calling her a fat pig. It just goes to show, when you challenge the myth about his money, he doesn't have a rebuttal, just rage.
Needed to list facts, not hyperbole, just facts about who he was and what he did. Bankrupt all these times, money from his father, not a self-made man, can't quantify his riches on Forbes magazine. I just said facts, and you would think that I called his mother a whore. You know, he went insane.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
One of the things he's most afraid of, to have people understand that everything about him that's projected publicly is based on a myth, that he's literally nothing of who he claims to be.
When I first saw the tweet this morning, I was frankly disgusted. I thought to myself, this dude has got such a fixation with women and blood. What is wrong with him? It's time that somebody looks at the camera and looks at him and calls him up and says, listen, you crazy lunatic 70-year-old man, baby, stop it. You are now the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, and you need to stop acting like a mean girl.
When he faced with a legitimate challenge from a woman, his immediate response isn't to debate the fact. It's to launch personal, nasty attacks on a national stage. And if you're wondering why it's always this kind of attack, Mary Trump would argue it's a feature, not a bug. She connects this lashing out directly to the love he never got at home, particularly from his mother, who was often emotionally and physically absent.
If we understand that he has to, like, in order to protect his psyche, in order to protect his extraordinarily fragile ego, has to project this idea that he's the greatest, the best. He's always speaking in hyperboles. He's trying to convince himself as much as he's trying to convince you, me, or everybody else, right? Then we understand that he doesn't really believe it either.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
I do get good ratings, you have to admit that.
I've had a great, successful career. I built a great, great business.
Mary Trump points out in her new book, quote, Donald had none of the requisite skills to succeed on his own. But she writes, quote, his willingness to do anything to fit within his father's mold made him the recipient of tens of millions of dollars to maintain the illusion of brilliance that never existed. But more concerning, perhaps, is that Trump often thinks he's making sense when he's clearly not.
But I do have to say, so I give these long, sometimes very complex sentences and paragraphs, but they all come together. I do it a lot. They say,
in the United States of America, if you want to win an election, all you need to have is a strange voice. Simple as that. You want to be president of the United States? Get a strange voice, you're done. Yeah, forget policies, forget ideas, that's boring. You come out there with a strange voice, the people love it.
Be up there. I think as Americans, we try and try, so try, big trying, all trying, and it is. But I know, and I think if we can, what we won't, but we will, but maybe, but.
what? The exception of the late, great Abraham Lincoln, I can be more presidential than any president that's ever held this office. That I can.
I mean, he seems to be really struggling lately to answer straightforward questions about the cost of childcare, housing, groceries. His answers don't really make sense. I mean, is that just par for the course for decades, or have you noticed a change in his ability to articulate?
Well, as a human being, Donald is as bad as he's always been. But in terms of his functioning on a cognitive level, absolutely there's been deterioration. I hope that more media outlets allow us to hear what Donald's actually saying instead of taking it upon themselves to, quote unquote, translate him. His nonsense is untranslatable.
Of all time, I went to an Ivy League college. I was a nice student. I did very well. I'm a very intelligent person.
Just a quick note for you all. This channel is committed to responsible commentary. We strictly follow all of YouTube's community guidelines, and every clip you see is sourced from public media. If you appreciate that approach, please subscribe to stay with us.
Listen, I lived through a right-wing dictatorship in Nicaragua, Somoza, and I lived as a child through left-wing dictatorship, the socialists, the Sandinistas. What do? They like to ration things, right? So the things that are coming out of Trump's mouth sound like rationing for the American people. I agree with you. He's not a socialist. What he is a authoritarian, and what he is a corrupt hypocrite. Because so whether he's a socialist or not, I think is not a relevant question. But he does have authoritarian characteristics that I think are far more troublesome. The attacks on the media, the attacks on the arts, the unwillingness to accept election results. I mean, these are all things that dictators do. And so I will keep saying that he walks like a duck, he talks like a duck, and he looks like a duck.
A dictator. That's the final warning, and it's a heavy one. But as Ana Navarro lays it out, it's not just a random insult, it's a conclusion based on a pattern of behavior we've been watching for years.
No, I think I wouldn't be here if I didn't have social media. But the media is fake. And frankly, if I didn't have social media, I'd have no way of getting out my voice.
Do you know what you told me a long time ago when I asked why you keep saying fake media?
Yeah.
You said to me, I say that because I need to discredit you so that when you say negative things about me, no one will believe you.
I don't have to discredit you.
But that's what you told me.
You've discredited yourself.
So I'll leave you with the question that's at the heart of it all. Whose story do you believe? The one he tells about himself, or the one told by the people who were once closest to him? Thanks for watching.